Hello everyone, I am your maths instructor and today we are going to explore the topic of real numbers. I am sure you all must be a little bit afraid of the mathematics subject, but don't worry at all. This is your first chapter and we are going to cover all the chapters very easily and very smoothly. And you know what? After the session, you are going to say that I want to study mathematics more than you must have studied earlier. So let's start the session. Today in this chapter, we are going to cover real numbers and some properties of the positive integers. Now let me introduce you to the topics of this chapter. We are going to cover these topics. The first one is the Euclid's division algorithm or lemma. The second one is the fundamental theorem of arithmetic. The third one is irrational numbers, and the last one is rational numbers and their decimal expansion. Before that, let's take a quick review of what all kinds of numbers do we know. So let's start with natural numbers, as they are the first to be invented. So natural numbers are basically invented naturally. So when the man started counting first, he started counting like, alright, so I have one stone or let's say one apple. So he started counting like 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. But he could not complete the counting. Do you know why? Because there was no zero. And when this zero came in picture, we were actually able to complete the counting. And that is why the whole set of natural numbers added with zero is called whole numbers. After the set of whole numbers, integers also come in pictures. What are integers? Let's take an example of money. So money is always paid and also received. So we take some money and we also give some money back. So when we take money, we do a plus. And when we give money to someone, we do a minus. Yes. So this process of plus and minus brings into picture the integers. That means all the set of whole numbers which we have just studied, that is 1, 2, 3 till infinity, also will include now the same numbers with minus signs. Next is the set of prime numbers. I'm sure you must be knowing what are prime numbers. So prime numbers are the numbers which are either divisible by 1 or by the number itself. Alright, the next one is composite numbers. What are composite numbers? Composite numbers are all the numbers which do not come in the category of prime numbers. That means they must be divisible by one or the other number, but not by the number itself. Next is the number 1. It's not a category, but let me ask you a question. Where is number 1 coming? Does it come in the prime category or the composite one? It doesn't come in any of them. It is a unique number. So 1 is neither prime nor composite. Now let's come to rational numbers. Rational numbers are all the numbers which are actually in the form of P upon Q, wherein Q denominator is not equal to 0. Alright, so next is the category of irrational numbers. Irrational numbers are all those numbers which are not in the form of P upon Q and where Q is not equal to 0. And here the last one is real numbers. Real number is a combo pack of rational and irrational numbers. So when we take rational and irrational both into one category, that category is called real numbers. And that is where the whole chapter of ours is based upon today. Now as we can see in this picture, encircled natural numbers. And as we have discussed earlier, all natural numbers are whole numbers also. And all whole numbers are integers. And all the integers brings into picture the rational numbers. But here now rational numbers and irrational numbers are two different categories. But if we combine both of them, we get real numbers. We are going to discuss now the properties of positive integers. So here are the two major properties which we are going to study in this chapter. The first one is Euclid's division algorithm or lemma. The second one is the fundamental theorem of arithmetic. See, let's start with the first theorem, that is Euclid's division algorithm or lemma. We'll start understanding this theorem from the right hand side, that is from the back side. So the first word which we see here is lemma. What is lemma? Lemma is a proven statement which is used to prove another statement. What is algorithm? Algorithm is a set of rules defined to solve a particular problem. Division, we all know what is division, and Euclid is the name of the mathematician who has discovered this. The Euclid's theorem is basically a division theory. We will do a simple division here. Don't be afraid of the names. They are not as difficult as they look like. The process is going to be very simple. We are going to use Euclid's theorem to compute HCF of two positive integers and also to find the properties of numbers. Let's start with Euclid's division algorithm or lemma. It is just a restatement of long division method. I'm sure you all must have done it. So let's start with an example. We will divide 25 by 3. So when we divide this number, 3 8s are 24 and the remainder comes to be 1. Now in this example, 8 is the quotient, 3 is the divisor, 25 is the dividend and 1 is the remainder. You all must have known in the lower classes how do we used to write the formula. Let me recall. Dividend is equal to divisor into quotient plus remainder. Is it right? That's right. But I must tell you, there are multiple ways in which we use this equation, and in multiple ways we can write this equation also. Let me write all the equations for you. 25 is equal to 3 into 8 plus 1. That's just one way of writing this division method. The second way is 25 is equal to 3 into 7 plus 4. Again, next, 25 is equal to 3 into 6 plus 7. 25 is equal to 3 into 5 plus 10. And 25 is equal to 3 into 4 plus 13. And 25 is equal to 3 into 4 plus 13. You see, there are so many ways in which we can write this. But are all these ways correct or not? Let's divide this number of 25 by 3 once again. Alright, so we divide 25 by 3. 3 7s are 21. The remainder is 4. Then 3 1s are 3 and the remainder is 1. Is it right? Do you know whether this division method is right or wrong? No, this is completely wrong. So how and why? Why don't we do it like this? Why do we change the method and how do we decide which method is correct? We will come to know about this very soon. Notice in the above example that remainder is always lesser than the divisor. In this example, as we have solved earlier, 1 is less than 3. Alright, so now what are the observations in this question? See, the remainder could be 0 and not equal to 3. And we finally observe in this method that 0 is lesser than equal to remainder. R is remainder here and R in this example is less than 3. So we notice that remainder will always be less than the divisor. Alright. Let's take another example where we'll use Euclid's division algorithm to find the HCF of 455 and 42. So let's divide 455 by 42. So here 42 tens are 420 and the remainder is 35. The noticeable point is that remainder right now is not 0. So what do we do in this division method? We don't stop here. We convert this remainder of 35 into the divisor and then we divide 42 by 35. 35 1s are 35 and then again the remainder is 7. Even at this stage the remainder is not equal to 0. So we convert this remainder of 7 into the divisor and we divide 35 by 7. 7 5s are 35 and now the remainder is 0. Notice that at this stage where the remainder is 0, whatever the divisor is, that will be the HCF. So at this stage when remainder is 0, the last divisor, that is 7, is the HCF of 455 and 42. Let's solve another example. So the next question is, show that every positive even integer is of the form 2q and that every positive odd integer is of the form 2q plus 1, where q is some integer. Don't worry, this question is very easy to solve. So how do we solve this question? We will assume that a is any positive integer and that b is equal to 2. Let's use Euclid's algorithm in this, wherein we say that a is equal to 2q plus r. So for some integer q is greater than equal to 0 and r will either be 0 or 1. As we know that it will always be less than the divisor, right? Because 0 is less than or equal to r and this remainder is here in this example less than 2. So either a will be 2q or a will be 2q plus 1. So in this case, if a is in the form of 2q, it will definitely be an even integer because it is obviously divisible by 2. In case a is in the form of 2q plus 1, it is definitely going to be an odd integer. Now the next question is, show that any positive odd integer is of the form 4q plus 1 or 4q plus 3, where q is some integer. Again, let's assume a as a positive odd integer, and let's use Euclid's algorithm theorem in this also, wherein a is the positive integer and b is equal to 4. Since 0 is less than equal to remainder and remainder is less than 4, the possible remainders are 0, 1, 2 and 3. That's it, because remainder is always less than the divisor. That is, a can either be 4q or 4q plus 1 or 4q plus 2 or 4q plus 3. However, a is an odd number as given in the question. So a cannot be 4q or 4q plus 2, because in both these cases it will be divisible by 2. So how can it be odd? So the alternatives left are 4q plus 1 or 4q plus 3. Hence proved, any odd integer is in the form of either 4q plus 1 or 4q plus 3. Let's take another example wherein we will divide 225 by 135. So 135 ones are 135 and the remainder is 90. We are not going to stop here, as we know we will convert this remainder of 90 as divisor. So we will divide 135 by 90 now. So 90 ones are 90, and again the remainder comes as 45, but the remainder is still not 0. So we will continue the process and see. At the third stage, the remainder is 0. So at this stage where r is 0, we can say that the last divisor, that is 45, is the HCF of 225 and 135. So the Euclid's theorem states that given positive integers a and b, there exists a unique integer q and r satisfying the condition a is equal to bq plus r, wherein 0 will be less than equal to remainder r and it will be less than equal to b. So here are some steps to follow Euclid's division algorithm. So you can pause the video and please note down them. So these are some phases of prime factorization. We have done prime factorization of 60 in 3 different ways, and as you can notice there are 3 different ways of writing the same, as 2 into 2 into 3 into 5. The order is different, you see in the next step, that is 2 into 3 into 2 into 5, and the third one is 3 into 2 into 5 into 2. So all the ways are different. So what do we observe in these different ways of prime factorization? Let's see the observations. The observations are that every composite number can be expressed as a product of primes. And the second observation says that the prime factorization is unique, apart from the order in which the prime factors occur. The order of prime factorization may be different, but the prime factorization is unique. That is, 2 into 2 into 3 into 5 gives you the same result as it gives in the way of 3 into 2 into 5 into 2. Let's come back to the next theorem, that is the fundamental theorem of arithmetic. This is simply a multiplication theory. Do you know the term of prime factorization? I must say you know this. Alright. So let's check where the usage of this theorem comes. We are going to check the irrationality and we are going to prove the irrationality of numbers by the usage of this theorem. And we are also going to check if the decimal expansion of the rational numbers is terminating or not. So the fundamental theorem of arithmetic states that every number can be expressed or factorized as a product of primes, and this factorization is unique apart from the order in which the prime factors occur. The next example says, let's consider the number 4n, where n is a natural number. So we have to check whether there is any value of n for which 4n ends with the digit 0. So how do we solve this question now? See, for any number 4n, which is a natural number n, to end this digit with 0, it has to be definitely divisible by the number 10. And if I say it has to be divisible by the number 10, then we do the prime factorization of 10. That comes out to be 2 into 5. That means the same number has to be divisible by 2 and 5 also. Please note that 2 and 5, not or. That means the same number has to be divisible by 2 as well as 5. Now let's do the prime factorization of 4, as in the question 4n is given. So the prime factorization of 4 says that there are 2 primes in the factorization, that are 2 and 2. But if you say it has to be ending with 0, will this end with 0? No, not at all. Why? Because 1 number has to be 2 and the another number has definitely to be 5 so that it ends with 0. But here instead of 2 and 5 we have 2 and 2. Hence it is proved that there is no value of n with 4n which ends with the digit 0. Factorization method, they say that HCF and LCM of two positive integers using the method of fundamental theorem of arithmetic. This gives us the result that the HCF of A and B is equal to the LCM of A and B, and which will always be equal to the multiplication of the same two variables, that is A and B. Let us do a quick example of how do we solve this question now. The question says that find the LCM and HCF of 6 and 20 by the prime factorization method. So first of all, let us do the prime factorization of 20. So it is done by 20, 2 tens are 20, 2 fives are 10 and 5 ones are 5. When we come to the prime factorization, it comes out to be 2 into 2 into 5 is equal to 20. So as we know now, 20 is equal to 2 raised to the power 2 into 5 and 6 is equal to 2 into 3. How do we calculate this? We already know how do we calculate the HCF. In this case, HCF is 2. Why? Because we check that this number has the lowest power. And the LCM comes out to be 2 into 2 into 5 into 3 is equal to 60. Because we have already checked that the number with the higher power comes out to be the LCM. And this is how we calculate the LCM and HCF of any two positive given integers by the method of prime factorization. As we have calculated this with two positive given integers, let us try it with the three positive given integers. Now the question says that find the HCF and the LCM of 6, 72 and 120 using the prime factorization method. Let's see how we solve this question. First of all, let us calculate and do the prime factorization of all these three numbers. So 6 is equal to 2 into 3, 72 is equal to 2 cube into 3 cube, and 120 is equal to 2 cube into 3 into 5. Now as we know, we have to see what are the lowest power values and the highest power values, and the LCM becomes 2 cube into 3 square into 5 is equal to 360. Now notice that the multiplication of all these three numbers are actually not equal to the multiplication of HCF and LCM. And this is what we have to remember now, that the multiplication of three positive integers will never be equal to the HCF and the LCM. So this is how we solve the question. But how do we attempt this question in the board exams? So this is how we solve this question. Please pause this slide and note down the same.